I wrote a essay concerning the development of my mental illness. And that essay was called My Mother's Befouled Breasts and Me. Okay. And when I started to hit my teen years, I began to notice and be very, very troubled by a habit my mother had of saving used Kleenexes. And oddly enough, there would often be a whole bunch of used Kleenexes. She would forget that she'd saved the other one and use another one and just pile them up. Now, for a woman who was a full-time housewife and took pride in keeping a clean house, it was kind of odd that snot and boogers had to be all over the place. But this might not have driven me insane. What drove me insane was her habit of befouling her breasts with snot and boogers. She would save a dirty Kleenex by putting it in her bra, so that her breast area, her chest area, was usually distorted or deformed looking because it had dirty Kleenexes sticking out of it, or dirty Kleenexes. It didn't look like a normal chest area because it was, it had the dirty Kleenex in there. Often the dirty Kleenex was kind of sticking out of it. Sometimes it was inside of it. And it very much bothered me because I was starting to develop breasts, albeit very small breasts. I was starting to develop breasts. And I was thinking about breasts as the symbols of womanhood. And the symbols of womanhood I saw every single day were a place to keep trash. You were supposed to be befouled with snot. You had to have snot and boogers on the place that symbolizes your womanhood. And that really, really bothered me. My mother never saw this, though. And this became a problem that we had for about 10 years. We battled over dirty Kleenexes. Basically, if I saw a dirty Kleenex, I would throw it away. Sometimes I would flush it down the toilet. And I would always get in trouble for, putting a dirty Kleenex in the trash. Okay. They were supposed to be kept until they were used completely, used up. And, well, I can remember even my mother actually having 2 dirty Kleenexes in her, befouling her breasts, because apparently she forgot about the first one, used another one, and shoved it inside the bra as well. But I got into the habit of trying to look away from her very often, because if I looked at her, a fight would start. "What are you looking at, teen?" And I'd say, "Mother, that looks disgusting." And she would say, "This dress doesn't have any pockets, does it?" And so she would, and in order to avoid getting into that fight, she would come over, approach me, and I would automatically look away because I knew that it was very likely that her breasts were befouled. And if I looked at it, we would get into a fight. And, there were times when, she would, I can remember one time, I did get her to take the dirty Kleenex out. She couldn't get it all the way into trash cans, but she threw it on the floor and said, "You make my life hell." She told me that her own mother had done this. And one thing about my mother is if her mother did something, as a good girl, she had to copy that behavior. And basically, part of her identification as somebody who saved, who wasn't extravagant, was to have her breasts befouled with trash. Okay, and again, this did have a very, very powerful effect on my feelings about myself, about my womanhood, about my breasts. And I hope that you enjoyed hearing that.